What's going on, everybody? You're watching Beneath the Well. This is Derek here.
This is John.
Today, we're going to be looking at one of my personal favorite comics, Old Man Logan, by Mark Millar and illustrated by Steve McNiven.
This
In
is a
this
great one.
comic, oh my god, it is phenomenal. It is one of my favorite comics, one of the best I've ever read, especially if you're a fan of Wolverine and anything that has to do with Wolverine.
Yes, definitely. First of all, the illustrations are phenomenal right off the bat. Of course, we all know Mark Millar is great at what he does. So many great stories. But the illustrations here definitely pop, and overall, it's just a really great story for Wolvie here.
Yeah, the details in every scene and just the expressions on the characters' faces, it's just it all really brings every page to life as you're reading it.
Definitely.
And this story is pretty much the setting of it is all the superheroes have died. The Avengers are dead,
Hmm.
Spider-Man's dead.
Yeah.
Everybody is just dead because the villains they finally got this idea to come together and team up and just wipe out all the heroes pretty
Yeah.
much.
They actually pull it off. It's a really great plan, and one we get to see come to fruition later on in the story.
Yes,
And all
no
that stuff.
spoilers.
No spoilers here. But the only one that's left pretty much is Wolverine.
Yeah, and it's like he's kind of whatever happened on that night when all the heroes fell, kind of just made him retire being Wolverine. It's like he just put away his claws, hasn't popped them out since like what 50 years,
Oh yeah,
and he's kind of just retired to a life of farming,
yeah,
believe it or not, and he's just content living this normal life, just trying to forget about this horrific thing that he experienced in the past.
exactly. And one other hero that is still alive as well is Hawkeye. So there is one Avenger left. They pretty much keep him alive because they think he's not even worth killing.
Yeah, pretty much. They're just like, oh, the blind guy, or he's blind now.
Yeah, which pretty sounds pretty ridiculous. Hawkeye is blind, but hey, he can still shoot his bow off like no other, which is great
Yeah, it's almost like he's gotten heightened daredevil senses
in a
to now,
way.
where he can hear not quite as as well as Daredevil, of course, but
Yeah, but he's still a nasty shot, and that's all that matters.
yeah, and he comes into the story with a proposition for Wolverine because Wolverine is in a predicament in his new life where he needs money really badly. Like where he lives in the country is Hulkland, which is kind of used to be California. Now Hulkland is obviously run by the Hulk, and the Hulk has become a villain because apparently the gamma radiation has just been taking a toll on his brain over the years. He kind of just ends up, breeding with his cousin She-Hulk and comes up with this batch of just really inbred redneck Hulks, and they just rule California and the
Yeah,
West Coast. And Wolverine pretty much just has to pay dues to them to live on his property. So when Hawkeye shows up, when he's short on rent and offers him this job to help him take this package across the country, he pretty much seizes it as an opportunity to help keep his family afloat.
and with the Hulk and Wolverine, there's a huge, long, convoluted history between the two. They've had their fights in the past, so it's kind of interesting to see this dynamic between the two. Uh, so basically, Wolverine goes with Hawkeye, and they have a little road trip, pretty much. And
In the Spider Mobile, which
yes,
is really cool.
of all things, this whole story here is just a big tribute to a lot of Marvel characters, and it is very violent, as is Miller's trademark in a lot of ways. But like he always does, he tells a great story, and this one's no different.
Yeah, and what's really cool is that as they're traveling across the country that's been separated between all of these different villains, as they take their prize of what's left of the land, you get to see all these little kind of hints at what happened that night,
Yeah,
little relevant, pieces of or landmarks that kind of just
Yeah.
show parts of the battle, or whether it's when they go to like this place where it's like a tribute to the heroes, where people go and kind of pray and hope the heroes are going to come back, and it's
Yeah.
kind of sad because they have all this memorabilia of the heroes,
Yeah.
and the shrines that they put up to the Avengers, like kind of pleading for them to come save them from this new life of hell they have to live or have been living through. It's just it's it makes you really see the despair and the level of dread that is ensued over these years.
The of course was the film Logan, which came out not too long ago, which has some parallels to this story. They're very, very different, but one thing they do have in common is just this sense that there's really no more heroes left. Kind of like how Derek was saying. There's in the movie Logan, all the mutants are pretty much gone. Wolverine's retired, and in the movie Logan, all of the mutants are gone, and in here in the story, all the heroes are gone. So it's not just the mutants that have disappeared. I mean, of course, Spider-Man's gone, Cap is gone, and
Thor.
Thor, and the one hero that really would stand a chance against them all, the Hulk, has lost his mind. So it really is a dire situation, and by the end of it, you really just want to see Wolverine get his knuckles bloody again, and it certainly doesn't disappoint when it comes to that.
Yeah,
That's
there's
all I'll say.
definitely a very climactic ending. I mean, Logan was a great movie, phenomenal, but it really makes
Hmm.
you wonder if they had the rights to all these other characters, how this particular comic would look on the screen,
Oh
on the big
yeah,
screen. It would be just amazing because I mean, there are parts in here that just, you know, I mean, I really don't want to spoil a lot of this comic because it's just so good, and there's so many scenes that you'll turn the page and see something and be like, "Oh, that's awesome." So
yeah,
I'd highly recommend you guys read this if you're a fan of X-Men, Spider-Man. If just if you're a fan of Marvel, this is a must read
yeah,
for any fan of Marvel, any fan of superheroes or comics like that. It
yeah,
is phenomenal. I cannot stress that enough. And I've read a lot of comics, but very few are this good. Even
yeah.
from Mark
A
Millar.
lot of Miller's work
Yeah.
is really great.
And on top of the heroes being all dead and everything being as dire as it is, the Earth's own natural immune system, in the form of these insane mole people, are sinking cities all around the country. So as they're driving through this place, they come across all these cities that have just been eaten out from the bottom and collapsed underground. And there's these insane crazy golem-like creatures that are just devouring these towns, and they're described as just the Earth's immune system, like because
Yeah,
of how polluted everything is. With villains in charge, no one really gives a shit about cleaning anything up. And it makes for some really cool parts. On top of everything else they already have to deal with.
yeah. There's plenty of Marvel Easter eggs, subtle ones, other ones that aren't so subtle, which are just as awesome. And at the end of the day, I mean, you really can't go wrong with Wolverine. And there's actually been a continuation of this series. It was kind of a standalone mini series for a while, but they have went ahead and continued the story a little bit here. But yeah, this is a great place to start if you like Mark Millar. If this is your first Mark Millar uh, piece that you're checking out, you can't go wrong here. I mean,
Yeah, this is definitely one of the best places you could start in his
yeah,
body of work. And definitely check out the other stuff he's written because I'm sure we're going to be talking about it in the future.
no doubt. Yeah, we'll definitely get to Kick Ass and Kingsman, of course, down the
Yes,
line.
definitely. And some of his more obscure work like Starlight.
Yeah, so just let us know if there's any other Wolverine stories you really enjoyed, or if you have already checked this out, what you thought. I mean, hey, even if you only just saw Logan, what did you think of the movie? I thought it was great.
Yeah, it was a great movie. Well, be sure to like this video and share it with your friends. Let us know what you think, and we'll see you next time.